Jurors in the case of R. Kelly coming back on Monday. They deliberated 2 hours today. But now that the defense and the prosecution have both rested, they have not come to a decision. For weeks, prosecutors called dozens of witnesses to the stand in an attempt to properly display what they saw as a criminal organization led by R. Kelly. Yesterday, in a final attempt to win over the jury, Kelly's defense team actually compared him to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah, I have no idea. Kelly faces life in prison if he is found guilty and still has charges pending in Illinois and Minnesota.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. CARR and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig? All right, folks, let's now go to New York, where day 4 of the R. Kelly trial took place today with explosive testimony from a woman who claims that she was sexually abused by R. Kelly when she was 17 years old. This is, again, day 4 of the trial of the R&B singer. And like last week, testimony have been nothing short of shocking. One of Kelly's former girlfriends, Azriel Clary, testified the singer knowingly passed on a sexually transmitted disease to her, adding the artist promised fame in exchange for sexual favors. However, Kelly's lawyers have labeled the accusers groupies who want to take advantage of his fame and fortune. Now, Kelly is found guilty. He will be sentenced to life in prison. Joining me now to discuss this is Orenique Odelier, co-founder of hashtag Meet R. Kelly. Hope I pronounced that correct.
You were pretty close. It's Orenique Odelier.
Gotcha. Orenike Odeleye. Okay, got it. So Orenike, let's talk about what we're seeing now. First off, we're actually seeing for the first time women who were sexually assaulted by R. Kelly when they were underage. That is not what we experienced in his first trial when he was acquitted in Chicago.
Yeah, I think now, with all of the progress that we've made as a society, as a culture, and as a community, women now feel safer and more emboldened to show their face and stay in front of the world what happened to them. I think back during his first trial, we weren't in a place where those young women and their families felt that they could do that and be safe and move forward from it with their lives. And so made choices to not come forward. But now, luckily, we're in a different space. And so these women feel like they can do that. And we're super proud and supportive of them because it's really important that they do. This doesn't stop unless we have a space for women to stand up and say what happened to them and speak their truth and be heard and be listened to and their claims be taken seriously. So we're really happy to see this.
This is just one trial. He also is facing prosecutors in 2 other states as well. It is clear that federal prosecutors are clearly looking at R. Kelly and want to make sure that he does not have another free day in this society.
Yeah, I mean, this evidence has been out here in the public for decades at this point. I mean, we all had it. DeAndre on the block had this evidence. We all have seen, heard, know someone who has experienced R. Kelly's perversity and his crimes against these young women. So none of this is really, really new. I think at this point, they really are gathering up all of the chords of history that's out there to really, really throw the book at him. But it's so long overdue. We knew what was happening literally 30 years ago. It's taken that long for us to get to the point where prosecutors are going to take these women seriously. The community is taking these women seriously. And people feel like that, enough is enough. I don't know why it's taken us this long, because we really didn't need all of the carts and carts and carts of evidence that they brought in on the first day of trial. We knew from the videotape forever ago what this man was doing to young women. I can't see how he can maneuver out of this, but stranger things have happened, so we're keeping a close eye on it.
The thing here that I think is really, really important as well is that the crumbling of the infrastructure around R. Kelly. Some would say because the money ran out. Prosecutors have been helped because the women, again, like Azriel, one of the women who was fiercely defending him, they actually then began to turn on him. So now you have first-hand accounts from people who were inside of R. Kelly's circles now testifying against him.
Yeah, a big part of that absolutely is the money running out, which is why Mute R. Kelly was a call for a financial boycott of the singer. We've known forever that it was the money that insulated him from the consequences of his crime. It was the money that allowed him to pay off families. It was the money that allowed him to pay off victims. It was the money that allowed the record companies to feel that they needed to continue to hide what he was doing and clean up after him. It was the money that was hiring the bodyguards that were guarding these women. It's always been the money that has kept him from consequences. And so we called for people to stop financially supporting him so that wall could come down between him and justice. And when the money goes, people are less inclined to hide your secrets. They're less inclined to, try to take up for you out here because they no longer have a financial incentive. So you're seeing, managers and road managers and people who work with him now will come forward because he's no longer the cash cow. And so now they've got to think about saving their own butts, and they're going to, spill the beans in court to do that.
I want to pull in Total Run and Avis as well. I mean, this is to the point that Orenike makes there. Avis, it was absolutely vital to go after the money. The reality is there were stations that continued to play his music. There were individuals that continue to book him. I remember when he was on the Tom Joyner Morning Show cruise, and it was very. I mean, I remember being at that cruise, going, "R. Kelly's performing, really? Who approved that?" And there were a lot of people who made excuses because the reality is R. Kelly was still a hit maker.
That's exactly right. I mean, this is no secret. Absolutely correct to say that his abusive behavior has been known literally for decades. And there has been several investigative reports. You would have to have your head in the sand not to know what was going on with R. Kelly and what had been going on with R. Kelly since the days of Aaliyah. Okay. And so what it has shown to me, though, when I think about it over the years, because I was one of the people, even in those times, like you, asking in a variety of situations, we still giving this man legitimacy? What does that say about how much we value, or shall I say devalue, Black girls? If he was targeting white girls in the way that he was a serial abuser to Black girls, would have had all of these decades of freedom? And why is it that the Black community for so many years seemed to give him a pass? Because they kind of like the music that he was coming out with. It is both the money, but it's also, for some reason, a community response that still seem to, on the one hand, still reward him by still going to his concerts, by still buying his music, by still sort of shaking their butts to his latest hit, and at the same time making excuses, as well as victim blaming the young women that he himself were targeting, going to schools, getting girls leaving school. Come on now. We've known this for decades. So I would just have to say, it is about time that the chickens came home to roost. Yes, I agree that the money needed to be cut off in order for people to come out of the woodworks who had been protecting him in the past because they knew that they were getting some money on the back end. But it's unfortunate that the money had to be come off for people to finally live up to some sense of morality.
Tehran, it was the pressure led by a number of Black women that created the critical mass to get to the point we're at with this trial in Brooklyn.
Well, there's a saying that people's morality only goes as far as their pocketbook. And I think it's a wonderful thing that what you're seeing with the situation with R. Kelly's finally coming to pass, and you're starting to see some things come to fruition. But something I want to point out is that even though what R. Kelly's accused of and these crimes are disgusting, he's just one example of something that's very prevalent in entertainment. The entertainment business can be a very ugly place. It can be a very, very predatory place. It can be very dangerous for women, especially Black women, and for men to a degree. But because so many people who are so guilty of a lot of these crimes are insulated, like the other two ladies said, by power structures and by record labels and by a whole infrastructure that basically shields them from any responsibility for the things they do, that it's very rare for a situation like this to get to this point. I think what happened with Harvey Weinstein kind of opened a lot of doors, and it kind of knocked down some walls about what you can do and how far power can go in the entertainment business if you are, say, a celebrity and you have people who are willing to cover for you. But we live in an age now where a lot of the things that we heard about in the 60s and 70s with rock bands and with punk rock bands and even country stars and this sort of thing, you didn't have the fast moving infrastructure and the fast moving social media that got these stories out into the public like you do now. So what you're seeing is immediate results, even though in this case it took decades to happen. A lot of these stories no longer are hidden behind the scenes until somebody writes a book 20 years later. So what you're seeing is a little bit more of a faster response to these things than you would in the past. But make no mistake, R. Kelly is just one example of a very prevalent thing that happens in entertainment. And there's people in the industry who are doing the exact same things. Most likely, they're just not known just yet.
Renike, final comment, please.
I would absolutely agree. The entertainment industry is rife with these type of problems. And I think that we always have to remember, at the end of the day, we have more power than the structures that we are supporting. Like, these structures only exist because we put our money into them. You know, and record companies can't exist without our streams, without our sales, without us going to concerts. And so I think that even if they don't have a financial incentive to do the right thing and to impose some level of morality on their artists, we have a responsibility to do that. We have a responsibility to call them out. We have a responsibility to say, we're not going to support these artists and we're not going to support your label if you are funding abusers, rapists, murderers, all the kinds of things that the record companies are willing to overlook for profit. We have to step up and say, we're not going to stand for it. I think part of the victory of R. Kelly getting to this point is that it took all of us standing up to all these structures of power and saying, no, actually, we have the power and we have decided enough is enough. And I think we have to continue to do that so that they know the minute they see these type of issues, they got to start pulling some coattails and not let this be a 10, 15, 20, 30-year problem that just goes on and on forever. It's something that they nip in the bud from the jump. I think we have to remember always that we are the ones with the power and we can say that we're not going to stand for it.
All right. Well, Renike, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for all your great work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Seek.com is founded by Mary Spio, sister. It is a virtual reality company where they have content on their site. Again, Seek.com. They also have their products. They have the 360-degree headphones. These headsets are amazing. Tremendous bass. You can use these headsets for gaming as well. Plus, they have their virtual reality headsets where you place your cell phone into the device to allow you to see that VR content, but also 360-degree video. If you want to get those headphones or the VR headset, all you got to do is use this promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21. Go to Seek.com to get their products. When you support them, you support us because a portion of the proceeds come back to us at Roland Martin Unfiltered.
In the R. Kelly trial, on day 3, Anthony Navarro, who worked for R. Kelly, testified the artist created an environment where he called all the shots. The former employee says that Kelly controlled whether visitors at the Chicago area mansion could leave or even order takeout food. The testimony bolstered the government's contention that R. Kelly controlled everything around him and created an environment where girls and women who entered the space faced strict rules that gave them little choice but to submit to the singer's sexual whims. Now, on yesterday, the doctor who treated R. Kelly for herpes said that he would often, that he allowed him to see him, but not necessarily treat him. In fact, that when he was initially called because R. Kelly was concerned that he had chlamydia, he tested negative for that, but he did test positive for herpes. Several of the women said that R. Kelly knowingly gave them herpes by having sex with them. The testimony from the doctor was quite graphic. He talked about how R. Kelly would call him with lesions, first suggesting that, they'd happen because he wore leather pants without underwear. No, it's not what happened. It was actually him having a sexually transmitted disease. The doctor said, though, that R. Kelly never paid him, but he did fly the doctor and his wife all around the country to various concerts. What we are seeing in this trial, Brittany, is a lot more than what we saw in his first trial a number of years ago in Chicago. you actually have people, women who are testifying against R. Kelly. This is not the only trial. It's what he faces cases in 2 other states, and so if a miracle happens and he gets off in this case, he still has to contend with the other cases. R. Kelly looks like the jig is up. 54 years old. He may be spending the rest of his life behind bars.
Yeah, you know, Roland, I wish we as a society, specifically our community as well, to protect Black victims, protect Black women, and hold our sexual and domestic abusers accountable. This man should have already been behind bars. We knew R. Kelly was a predator decades ago when they were on the corner selling the tape where he peed on that young child. And we ignored it because he had some hit songs, and we love to blame the victim. We love to tell our young girls who are children that they're fast instead of holding these old behind predator men like R. Kelly accountable for trying to flirt, sexually abuse, groom, and rape these young kids. So I hope that this is a wake-up call to our society, because it shouldn't even had to have gone on this long for us to stop victim blaming, because that's why it has gone on for so long. Stop asking women, well, what did you drink and what did you have on, instead of asking, because the only thing that causes a rapist to rape is being a rapist. And stop having society ask the victim, well, why didn't you leave? Ask the abuser why they're hitting someone, you know, and really do what's right by these victims, because it's absolutely ridiculous. And this man should have been behind bars, but I do think it's inevitable. He's going to end up where he deserves to be.
And again, in each day, we're seeing quite graphic testimony in this trial, Kelly.
Yeah, just something that you said really quickly. He actually tested negative for herpes and tested positive for something else, but he was being treated for herpes, and the doctor concluded based off of his reaction to the treatment that he had herpes, but he did test negative for it. I just wanted to clarify that. It's still all disgusting, but I just wanted to clarify. Either way, like Brittany said, this man needs to be under a jail cell. We knew that he was a predator before the tape. We knew he was a predator when he married Aaliyah, a 15-year-old. We knew when the album that he made with Aaliyah started off with "Age Ain't Nothing But a Number." You know, his handle or nickname was literally the Pied Piper. And if you don't know what a Pied Piper is, it's a older man who plays like some type of flute or piper, and that music lures children to this predator. And he embraced that moniker. We've known for a very long time that R. Kelly is gross. We've known for a very long time that R. Kelly is a child abuser. But the fact that there are still supporters of R. Kelly right now supporting him through this trial is absolutely disgusting to me. And the only question I have for them are, like, how do you hate yourself this much? How dissociated are you from reality to enable a predator of this magnitude? Because the facts have been out there. He has admitted in several occasions, interviews and the like, that he has an affinity for children. He's a disgusting man. And for you in 2021 to still support him and go so far as to think that, you know, the system is against him and people are racist and people are, it's gross to me. He needs to be under a jail cell. And yeah.
Let me say this here. First of all, the doctor had been treating R. Kelly since 1994. What he said is that he suspected he had genital herpes as early as 2000 because of the symptoms. The doctor testified there was a lab test that came back negative, but the doctor said the timing of the test is important, and the test itself can at times give false negative results. The doctor said, quote, "I did not conclude that he did not have herpes." McGrath testified in referring to his various medical records. He did say over a period of time that he was treated for herpes 5 times since 2000. That was what the doctor actually testified. Jason, when you look at this case, when you look at again the number of people testifying, what you did not have before, you had a lot of people who did not testify. In fact, In the previous case, the young girl that was seen in the video, first of all, people got to remember, R. Kelly was found not guilty because the jury could not ascertain the age of the girl in the video. But they forced a delay for so long. By the time that she actually testified, she was much older. And so therefore, they could not reconcile that. That's actually what happened in that particular case. This is different. You now actually have former employees testifying against him, women involved testifying against him. And so the prosecution has a lot more ammunition to target R. Kelly.
Yeah, I think that the prosecution is probably going to have a pretty rock solid case. And they're going to have, you know, now the documentaries have been made. I didn't watch the documentaries, but one of the things that I think we, you know, kind of piggybacking off of what Brittany was saying in terms of this being a cultural moment for you know, our people, is that we really need to address, you know, sexual assault and predatory behavior, because it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but R. Kelly was a victim of sexual assault of his sister, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, I'm sure his sister was probably a victim of someone else. We've got to start to address these issues in our community to cut them off so that we don't have generations and generations of victims and people victimizing other people. You know, R. Kelly is going to be where he deserves, I believe. And I was shocked that he got away with it in the 90s. And I was really shocked with some of the responses that would come on the radio when they would talk about it. People in our community, how they were blaming the victim. I think I read an interview with the victim where she blamed herself. I think that these are cultural, you know, moments where we have to do some teaching and learn so that we don't actually keep this kind of thing going and looking the other way when it's happening. Because, you know, I knew people who said they, you know, this was a well-known thing in Chicago, that R. Kelly would come by the high school, you know, that they knew that he was, you know, picking up girls at the high school when he was well over age. So this is something that we have to stop looking the other way. And hopefully this will be a teachable moment for the culture.
It was actually R. Kelly's brother who said that the two of them were molested by their older sister. R. Kelly also had said that he was molested by a man when he was around 10 years old. Bottom line is, even with all of that, what you're seeing, again, prosecutors lay out a very, very lengthy list of evidence in this case. And so we're going to be covering this even further.
Untitled video in just one moment.
Football bans and one of the best fan experiences in the country. The Cricket BX SWAC Challenge kickoff returns to Atlanta on August 28th, along with special guests, College Game Day. Then Alcorn State takes on North Carolina Central with conference bragging rights on the line. Center Park Stadium is the place to be on August 28th. Come tailgate all day before enjoying a primetime matchup on the gridiron. You don't want to miss this. Check out MEACSWACChallenge.com for more information.
Don't forget, folks, Roland Martin Unfiltered is going to be broadcasting live from Atlanta on Friday and Saturday. Friday will be at the Atlanta Braves Stadium, talking to the presidents of both universities, as well as officials with the SWAC and MEAC. Then on Saturday, we'll be at the Coca-Cola Fan Zone, broadcasting live from that particular afternoon. And then, of course, we'll be live streaming the halftime show and the concert taking place after the game. You can watch it at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. And we appreciate it, in partnership with Coca-Cola, of making this happen. See you next week.
Well, the R. Kelly trial goes into day 6. Just more shocking testimony. Kelly's defense team cross-examined the unnamed witness who testified on yesterday. He asked the witness to read letters she wrote to the family members while living with Kelly as one of his girlfriends. In one letter, she accused her mother of telling Kelly since he was sleeping with her, he needed to send $10,000 to an account provided by her mother. In another letter to her brother, the witness listed actions their parents allegedly put her up to get money from Kelly, including telling her to lie about her age to him and the police. However, prosecutors argued Kelly forced the witness to write the letters. We have heard all sort of just shocking and damning testimony in this trial here. Federal prosecutors are really laying out a very strong case against R. Kelly. It is one of 3 potential trials he may face is going on now, but there are 2 other jurisdictions that he's going to be facing charges, Scott. And so his attorneys, they have an uphill battle, especially when you have women who were with him, who talked about sleeping with him, being forced to do so when they were underage.
Yeah, and while they lied to him about them being underage, while they lied about that, and while they told other public lies, the government explained that away through these witnesses by saying that they were forced to lie because of their fear of R. Kelly. Now, the defense lawyer has been cross-examining these witnesses. He's got to be careful now because he's got a charge whereby he had sex with these women and passed on an STD to them, which is against the law without putting them on notice. He's transporting younger people vis-a-vis statutory rape, whether they lied to him or not, in violation of what we used to call the Mann Act across state lines. And then that he has a racketeering charge where he has a criminal enterprise whereby he invites these women with a team of other people to either incarcerate them in their home, but also to transfer them across state lines, as well as to have sex with underage girls. It's a well-charged case against him. And while the defense can nip at the credibility, if you will, how these witnesses, how these women, these victims are holding up on the stand is really impressive. Even though they've lied before, they've explained why they lied. And even if you say they don't have credibility, the fact of the matter is the medical records show that they had sex at an early age or, as a juvenile, 1. But 2, the medical records show that he passed on an STD to them. I think it's going to be a hard row to hoe to get around it, even if you're going to argue at the end with the jury that all of the women are lying, they all wanted money, their families wanted money, and he's in this position because of their greed and he wouldn't give them money. That has nothing to do with whether he engaged in sex with them while they were underage or he had a criminal enterprise of women who he kept there and they had to call him daddy and all these other things. And so I don't think the defense gets there in the end. I'm not sure why they haven't entered into a plea agreement, but every case is different. Every defendant is different. And this could put him in jail for quite some time.
Kelly?
I mean, the reason why they haven't entered a plea agreement, in my opinion, is probably because R. Kelly is refusing any plea agreement. If we know anything about R. Kelly, he has an ego. And that is evident in his mannerisms, both on and off stage. That is evident in his personal life and his professional life. None of this surprises me. The fact that he doesn't have a plea deal, the testimony that's coming about in court, again, and I think I said this on your show previously, we have known that R. Kelly is disgusting for decades. It is just coming to light in this regard because of the shift in culture when it comes to believing women, specifically believing Black women, and not letting misogynoir and power overtake one's credibility. This man has a lengthy history of absolutely disgusting behavior towards women and young girls. And the fact that it is just coming to light, or rather just getting to court in this regard again, is really a tragedy and a testimony to how the justice system just hasn't looked out for these girls, how the justice system hasn't looked out for Black women. Yeah, R. Kelly needs to be under the jail, period. Anything that comes to light now is honestly just icing on top of the crappy cake that he has made for almost 3 decades at this point.
Brianna?
Yeah, I think that he needs to enter into a plea deal. There's not that much more I can say. I hope that it happens, and I hope that when he does enter a plea deal, it's these people that have been victims receive their fair justice, and it's not a crappy one like they gave Bill Cosby. I do think that we need to listen and protect Black women, and it's just atrocious that this has gone on so long. And that last witness was damning. So I don't really know how they're going to come back on the defense. But I do think that a plea deal needs to be entered, and he needs to go away for a while.
Yeah. Hey, Roland, real quick for your listening audience, the fact that they were consensual, at least initially, in having sex or continue to have sex, allegedly consensually, doesn't matter. The conviction and the charges, if they meet those elements, are still going to be the jury can still find against him. There's no contributory negligence or contributory part on the women, whether they were of age or not of age.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Football bans and one of the best fan experiences in the country. The Cricket BX SWAC Challenge kickoff returns to Atlanta on August 28th, along with special guests, College Game Day. Then Alcorn State takes on North Carolina Central with conference bragging rights on the line. Center Park Stadium is the place to be on August 28th. Come tailgate all day before enjoying a primetime matchup on the gridiron. You don't want to miss this. Check out MEACSWACChallenge.com for more information.
And, of course, folks, join Roland Martin Unfiltered in Atlanta Friday and Saturday for the SWAC MEAC Challenge. Friday, we'll be broadcasting live from the Atlanta Braves baseball game. We'll be hearing from the commissioners of the SWAC and MEAC, plus school presidents and other great guests. On Saturday, we'll be from the Coca-Cola fan zone at the stadium where the game is taking place. We'll be broadcasting live. Some great things going on. Tigger's going to be spinning. They got some chefs out there with the Coca-Cola kitchen. We're going to have some phenomenal stuff for you. Plus, we'll be live streaming the halftime show and the concert after the game. Check out Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday and Saturday. And we thanks all of this in partnership with Coca-Cola, the SWAC MEAC Challenge. We'll see y'all there.
We could not get through this show without talking about the Pied Piper. Today marks day 7 of the R. Kelly trial. In a testimony, Tom Arnold, Kelly's former studio manager, testified that the singer docked his pay because he booked a male tour guide for Kelly and his girlfriend when they attended Disney World. Arnold told jurors that he finally got fed up with the singer's bizarre rules and quit in 2011, stating that Kelly always requested a female tour guide when on trips. The former employee added that the troubled singer would fine staffers for minor infractions, such as eating his donuts. R. Kelly is charged with 9 counts of racketeering in violations of the Federal Mann Act. The stories that we're hearing coming out of here, both REECIE, Dr. CARR, the stories we're hearing coming out of this trial have been devastating, to say the least. This is a lot bigger than the Lifetime special that we saw, that everybody saw about R. Kelly. At this point, you're having people speak about in very grave detail about sexual deviance, about physical punishments, about basically being held captive, about the rules of people who they weren't allowed to contact, that they had to let R. Kelly know and get permission before they went to the bathroom, that they couldn't go outside without a male escort. We're hearing more and more details, gruesome details in many cases, coming out of this trial. What are your thoughts thus far with what you've seen and heard, REECIE?
First, I don't know if you know Faraji is still there, but I will say, I will say it's horrific, number one. And you know, one of the things that I really hate, to be honest, is the way that Aaliyah is being dragged into this. You know, yesterday was the anniversary of her passing, or no, I'm sorry, her birthday. And, you know, it's just, she's not here to defend herself. So it's just really horrific to hear her life being talked about in a way that, you know, she had completely moved on from that chapter in her life. But, you know, just because she's famous doesn't mean that her trauma or what she suffered from is any worse than anybody else. I mean, he's a predator. He is a predator power, and he took advantage of people not just sexually, but with his power. I mean, he could go to jail for labor violations. I mean, he's just an all-around scumbag and piece of shit. And I don't see how anybody can watch what's happening here and listen to the stories that are just so plentiful and still manage to defend him and still manage to come up with crazy notions that there's a conspiracy against him and why are you going after black men, and where's Harvey Weinstein and this, that, and the other. He needs to be held accountable for his atrocities that he has conducted over and over again. And it's actually amazing that he isn't on trial for even more crimes. I think he's getting off quite easy with what he is alleged to have done.
Faraji, I'm going to get you in here before we have to move on to our next story. What are your thoughts on the most recent developments in the R. Kelly trial?
First, I appreciate you, REECIE, for making that, for bringing that to the light about Aaliyah. I think that it's interesting that the prosecutors decided to use her story, and I'm glad that they used her story because so many of us probably were still in the dark about really how deep that rabbit hole goes in terms of him starting to even look at Aaliyah at the age of 12, and then having sexual, relationships with her, shortly thereafter. Then the whole scare about him getting pregnant, and then leading to the fake, the fake documents and the whole nine about, her age. And I mean, when you get to it, and I'm with REECIE 1,000%, absolutely sickening. I mean, folks, when you read, when I read the account of the testimony from what they classified as Jane Doe number 5, I believe, which is Azriel McClary, who was a part of that that historic conversation with Gayle King when they had that major interview, and how she said she lied during that interview, how she even, R. Kelly was in the room and had coughed a couple of times if he felt like the answers were a little bit too incriminating for him about him. I mean, when you read these details, there's no way in the world that you can have a conversation and still say, oh, he's a musical genius. I can separate him from the music. Well, there's no way in the world that we can look at even the story of Aaliyah. And I'm with REECIE 1,000% on this. She's not here to even defend herself. We celebrated, or we acknowledged the 20-year death anniversary of our dear beloved sister. 20 years. She lost her, she was not here with us, and she can't defend herself. And I don't know, it left a bad taste in my mouth that the prosecutors used her story in such a way that you didn't bring the parents in, you didn't bring any other close friends or relatives of Aaliyah into the conversation, onto the stand. But R. Kelly, folks, he deserves everything he gets. And if you sit there and tell me to this day that R. Kelly still should not get what he deserved because you don't think you're absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I'm telling you, there's nothing else to it. You're just insane.
Dr. CARR, I know you have predicted before how you thought that this trial was going to go. Has anything shocked you or changed your mind in terms of believing that R. Kelly just might get off?
No. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. I mean, first of all, there's no moral standard in this country, just like there's no moral standard in Western civilization. And the rich hide their crimes. There was a president of the United States caught on tape saying, I moved on her like a bitch. You can grab them by the P word. And he sat in the office and was elevated. This isn't defending R. Kelly at all. This is saying that the madness runs deep in the human spirit. And people who are looking for an excuse will find one. Now, it's more likely than not that he will be convicted. And as we know, he's not just facing a New York court. He's got charges in several states. And as we just heard from everyone, these witnesses, no human can hear that and not be moved. But the deep thing about this, I think, is that when we look in the mirror, when it's just us, we have to confront the fact that somewhere in every human being, there's something in our spirit, in our psyche, that must make us wonder, what kind of society do we live in? And do we really know the people we're talking to? Do we really know who we're dealing with? Because somebody, look, any lawyer will tell you, I just need one in the box. I don't need to convince all the jury. I just need enough to get the guy off. What are the odds? What are the odds? We just gonna have to wait and see, y'all. At least that's what I think.
Hey Doc, can we also just, and REECIE, I love to get your thoughts on this. People have been saying, look at the parents, that the parents are to blame, but I don't think you can blame the parents necessarily. And I get it, but I understand it's easy to quote unquote blame the parents for wanting to, your daughter to be associated with this man. But I don't know. It's hard, and I would love to get, I know that there's a lot of conversation that we should blame the parents. We should charge the parents. We should punish the parents because they put their daughters in that position.
Now, Faraji, we had to ask Amisha.
R. Kelly put their daughters in that position. And I think that it's very frustrating to see in any case where there is molestation, where there is rape, where there is sexual violence of any kind, parents get blamed for that. Because at the end of the day, this was a grown man making adult decisions. And the adult decisions he made was to prey on middle school kids and to prey on early high school kids. This was a guy who literally parked his car outside of middle schools and waited for young girls to come out. This was a guy who went to the very well-known hangouts of teens in the city and would try to entice girls. He would buy them clothes. He would buy them shoes. He would tell them that he could make them into superstars. He could make them into Aaliyah. He made dozens upon dozens of promises to these young girls. And then, like many people who are manipulative, like many people who are abusers, he abused them. He scared them to death. He segmented them from their family and friends. And at the end of the day, they were stuck in basically a torture chamber of sorts for years. I think that the only person that we can honestly blame here and put a lot of the blame on, it lands squarely on R. Kelly. Now, if we want to look at some other people, look at the people around him who made it happen. The people who were his transport staff, the people who bought plane tickets for these young girls, the people who ensured that R. Kelly's no read and tell would be able to create fake IDs and a whole bunch of other things for these young children, because that's what happened. He didn't do this solo. He had a whole team of people who made it possible.
And that's what makes it satanic. That really, that's what makes it satanic. You had grown-ass men and some women who allowed this to happen. And we know it. We hear the stories, and we see those level of enablers. And I'm going to just tell you honestly, it's 2021. If you find a consciousness in 2021 after years of this, and you finally say, I had to say something on the stand, man, get the hell out of my damn face, man. Like, you finally had a damn heart.
No, they finally tried to not get massive charges, is what they did.
Right. Folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Football bans and one of the best fan experiences in the country. The Cricket BX SWAC Challenge kickoff returns to Atlanta on August 28th, along with special guests, College Game Day. Then Alcorn State takes on North Carolina Central with conference bragging rights on the line. Center Park Stadium is the place to be on August 28th. Come tailgate all day before enjoying a primetime matchup on the gridiron. You don't want to miss this. Check out MEACSWACChallenge.com for more information.
And of course, folks, join Roland Martin Unfiltered in Atlanta Friday and Saturday for the SWAC MEAC Challenge. Friday, we'll be broadcasting live from the Atlanta Braves baseball game. We'll be hearing from the commissioners of the SWAC and MEAC, plus school presidents and other great guests. On Saturday, we'll be from the Coca-Cola fan zone at the stadium where the game is taking place. We'll be broadcasting live. Some great things going on. Tigger's going to be spinning. They got some chefs out there with the Coca-Cola kitchen. We're going to have some phenomenal stuff for you. Plus, we'll be live streaming the halftime show and the concert after the game. Check out Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday and Saturday. And we thanks all of this in partnership with Coca-Cola, the SWAC MEAC Challenge. We'll see y'all there. All right, folks, day 12 of the R. Kelly trial, and a woman identified as Kate testified. She dated R. Kelly, and he paid her $200,000 to settle a lawsuit she brought accusing him of giving her herpes. She told jurors when they began having sex, she told him that she was worried about STDs, but he refused to use protection.
On yesterday, federal prosecutors called DNA experts to take the stand. The expert, Yang Fei Wu, testified that he found semen on a blue shirt that one of the R&B stars' accusers said she saved. Earlier in the trial, Geronda Pace recalled her last day at Kelly's home, saying he spit on her, slapped her, and choked her until she passed out after he flew into a rage because she texted a friend. Let's go to my panel, Terrain Bailey, attorney, Michael Imhotep, host, the African History Network, Brittany Lee Lewis, political analyst. So, Attorney Bailey, how you doing? We'll start with you. You are defense attorney. As you look at this trial, you've seen how the prosecution is laying this out. Do you believe that they are moving closer to proving the charges, or does things like this testimony saying he gave her herpes, how does that actually relate to what he is charged with?
The testimony about R. Kelly not listening to the woman saying she wanted to use a condom goes to the issue of consent, which is the whole issue in this case regarding trafficking and the abuse of women, that he's not listening to women and that he is abusing them. So in many states, giving someone a sexually transmitted disease is grounds for a felony charge. So here, the prosecution is doing its job and laying the groundwork for a conviction here. What's interesting is how the defense attorneys are handling this information.
To the folks in the audio, I'm getting lots of feedback there, so I'm not quite sure whose microphone that's coming from. When you say the defense, speak to that. Is it that they have not much to work with? Because, again, what seems to be consistent is that they are attacking folks saying, oh, did you cut a deal? Is that why you're testifying? When a lot of the women who are testifying, they aren't charged with anything.
Well, the defense doesn't really have much to work with here because there's so many victims and so many allegations that are consistent. So the only thing that they can do is really try to attack the credibility of each of these women and try to say that there's another motive or other incentives for why they're going after him in this way, such as monetary gain.
Brittany, what is interesting about this, as we have been covering this, you still have people out there who are ardent R. Kelly fans. I got people who are tweeting me saying, oh, you're not telling the whole story. You need to get the transcripts of the trial. These people are lying. They're not doing a good job. That there are inconsistencies. I mean, all of this. I mean, it is very interesting, again, with the documentaries being done, with the stories being done, with all the different things. You still have people who are saying, oh, Robert Sylvester Kelly is being railroaded.
Roland, I have to laugh. These people are misogynists. To be clear, if you are caping for R. Kelly, you are a misogynist, period. And I guess my question would be, at what point do we start loving Black women? When are we going to actually hold these abusers accountable?
Brittany, I'm getting tweets from Black women.
You know what's funny is that misogyny, the same way that I say we have Black, excuse the language, Black Uncle Toms running around, right, who have also internalized white supremacy. There are also Black women who have internalized their own, the misogyny within the community, right, who are also affected by the patriarchy. And I'm sorry that is happening. It is unfortunate, but the reality is we need to start loving each other. We need to love Black women. And more importantly, start believing victims, right? When are we going to hold these people accountable? And it's unfortunate, Roland, because it's not just R. Kelly. We're talking about any time a Black woman is raped, she's battered, she's abused. Look at some of these comments related to Fabulous, related to Chris Brown, even related to Nas. People are just like, no way, right? Oh, but we still want to support, we still want to the unfortunate, right? And it's all fun and games until it's that person's child or that person's sister or that person's mother, and then it's, well, why is anybody supporting me and mine? And why does it always have to be proximity to a loved one to understand that there are abusers in our community and that need to be held accountable?
Michael.
You know, Roland, I've been covering this case since day one. And this is every day, man. You know, there's some first of all, there's some details that I don't even share on my show. This is some sick stuff. When you read the testimony, you know, Faith's father on day 10, the third woman who accused R. Kelly of exposing her to herpes, her name was Faith. She testified. Her father is a pastor. He was there at the trial, and he was outside of the trial, and there were female R. Kelly supporters who were berating him, you know, and you know, we talked about this last Friday on your show. The most disrespected woman in America, or the most disrespected person in America, is the black woman. And we're seeing this here a second time. We saw this in the first trial. We see this again a second time here. And today, this woman who testified, she's the fourth woman. Her name, they're using the name Kate. She's the fourth woman to testify in this trial that accused R. Kelly of exposing her to herpes. And, you know, brother, we have to stand up to defend African-American women. But also, I just had a quick question for the attorney here, if I could. I just wanted to know, the charges are 1 count of racketeering and 8 counts of violation of the Mann Act, which is interstate sex trafficking. And I just wanted to know, how is the prosecution doing presenting their case regarding the 1 count of racketeering? How are they doing in regards to that?
Well, let me start first with the trafficking. They're doing an excellent job with the trafficking because they're showing the purchase of the plane tickets and the traveling across state lines. The racketeering, I see them moving in that direction as aggressively, and I'm assuming that they're going to do that through other witnesses, because I haven't seen as much of that from the witnesses that have testified thus far. I mean, we've had some testimony from people from R. Kelly's camp that have assisted in arranging these meetups with the women backstage and assisting with introducing him to these women. But the racketeering case, from my perspective, is not as strong as the trafficking case at this point.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So, obviously, the defense will have opportunity to put their case on. This is one of three cases he actually faces, Terrain. And so, do you believe that as this moves forward, this jury of 7 men and 5 women are going to listen to this harrowing testimony? And as you said, I mean, it's very gritty. It's extremely, when you talk about the choking, one woman said that he forced her to perform oral sex on him. A gun was nearby. There was a man who testified that R. Kelly performed oral sex on him. I mean, just day after day, just extremely graphic testimony, and that this jury is hearing every single day.
This testimony is exhausting for a jury. Day after day, and each detail gets more gruesome and more detailed. And so the jury can become exhausted with these facts. So by the time the defense gets to their case, they're going to have to try something new to mitigate some of these allegations. And the only thing they can really go for is jury nullification. And jury nullification is when you say, okay, these are the facts, okay? But look at it from this point of view. These women, regardless of their age, consented to being initially involved with R. Kelly. And then they take it from there and they start showing how this may have been more consensual and part of sexual preferences more so than abuse. But that is going to be a hard sell to a jury, but you're going to have to ask the jury to set aside all their reason and all their common sense and say these women, all these women agree to this behavior and this treatment.
This is going to be, again, something we're going to continue to follow, and we certainly will see what happens next in this case, but it is just very significant with this level of testimony.
Folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Sync.com is a black-owned virtual reality company founded by Mary Spio. That's right, VR is all the rage. The ability for you to be able to actually be immersed in the space to feel what's going on. Imagine being at a concert and you're watching the concert, but you're actually in the seat in the concert. And so that you can able to see that great videos and all kinds of different things on Seek.com. Using their VR headset, you simply just drop your phone right into here. And again, you're able to then immerse yourself in the experience right there. Also, of course, they have these great headphones right here, the 360-degree headphones. You can use this for gaming. It's Bluetooth. You can talk on them as well. The bass is tremendous. I love jamming these when I'm on airplanes. Folks, you can get these by going to Seek.com using the promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21, where you can get these. And when you purchase one or both of these, a portion of the proceeds comes back to us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. You know, we support Black-owned businesses, and it's the Black-owned businesses giving back to us as well. So go to Seek.com, CEEK.com, to get these items.
If you can identify with R. Kelly personally, then you're a motherfucking degenerate. Point blank period. And maybe your ass need to be up under the jail right along with R. Kelly. Okay? So let's, instead of talking about protecting the legacy and the black man who was sitting up there allegedly, until proven guilty, I guess, raping and terrorizing and kidnapping and abusing women, men, children, families. If you can justify that because he's a black man, there's something seriously wrong and demented with your mentality. There's nothing wrong with us talking about it. It's something wrong with your ass and how you think, okay? So why don't we put a little bit more emphasis on protecting victims, on protecting girls, boys, people, black people, the community? How about that, from a sexual predator? Why don't we put more emphasis on that than the fact that you like R. Kelly's Bump and Grind or 12 Play?
Come on.
Check yourself. Don't come over here with that mess. Check yourself and your fucked up mentality.
That's right.
Period.
I'm trying to see. There was at least one MF, at least 4 Fs.
Sorry, not sorry. Because like, we're not going to normalize that kind of comment.
Oh,
you are literally trying to check us for talking about testimony in the court of law under the threat of perjury or of criminal penalties, and you're trying to check us because we're talking about what this man, this degenerate, this pedophile, this sexual serial predator allegedly is doing? Check yourself. Don't come over here with that. Check yourself. Look in the mirror, and we need to be find out who the hell your ass is around. If you think that what he's done is something that's redeemable, that should be protected, that should be shielded, what the hell is wrong with you? There's something wrong with you, not us, and not the Roland Martin Unfiltered show.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Roland, it's okay. Reese got to say that. In the words of Miss Lauryn Hill, I add a motherfucker so you ignorant Negroes hear me. In other words, you can't.
That's the only way we can communicate. I'm sorry.
You know,
intellectually, it didn't work. It didn't register with intellectual. So let me throw one of those up, and maybe you'll hear it, and you can tweet me, and you can fry me up in the YouTube comments, and you can say whatever the hell you want to say. But I said what I said. Fuck R. Kelly and you too. How about that? That's not unbiased. That's my opinion.
Gotcha.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
All right, folks, Seek.com is a black-owned company founded by Mary Spiel. It's a virtual reality company where you can actually go there, look at their virtual reality content. A couple of devices they actually have for sale that you might be interested in. First off, their VR headset allows for you to slide your phone right in and experience that virtual reality content on their site or watch a 360-degree video. Also, their 360-degree headphones, tremendous bass, you can use it for gaming, Bluetooth, phone calls, you name it. Folks, you can get these two at Seek.com using this promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21. You buy one or the other, or even both, a portion of the proceeds come back to us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we want you to check out Seek.com and give it a try. All right, folks, the R. Kelly trial resumed today after a 3-day recess. A woman identified as Sonia testified that R. Kelly raped her after promising her an interview with the artist. The victim claims Kelly held her captive for more than 3 days in his studio when she was 21 years old. Sonia was the 8th accuser to take the stand against R. Kelly during the trial. Other accounts have often included physical and sexual abuse details, and 5 of the people testified that they were underage during their first sexual encounters with Kelly. I had somebody who tweeted me today, Faraji, who was not particularly happy with our panel calling out R. Kelly last week, and that they felt that they literally put up free R. Kelly, and that we should not, and the brother literally said we should not be attacking another black man. And I'm sitting there going, are you not paying attention to what in the hell has actually been said?
Come on. Come on.
Yeah, it literally happened.
I mean, first and foremost, any joker who says that R. Kelly should be free, I mean, we should cancel them. I mean, when you go to that situation and when you look at what that young lady Sonia said, who's a 39-year-old woman, and what she said R. Kelly did to her at 21 years old, and if we understand the impact that sexual abuse has on anybody, but particularly on women, you would not be so quick to call that man a genius of any sort. Of any sort. You would not be so quick to say, oh, we beating up on a black man. What I'm concerned with is that this case, as gruesome, as graphic, as disturbing as this case has been, that it won't push the needle far enough to remove our love for the pimp culture and the exploitation of women in music and media. That's what I'm concerned with. That it's easy to cancel one man, but can we cancel a behavior? Can we cancel a whole mindset that hate women and that use of women, that abuse women? And so when you look at this case should not just be fodder. And look, and I'm going to say it like this. Have you heard about R. Kelly case since it started? Other than this platform, I'm going to keep it real. I mean, unless you go online, you search it, you read it, you follow it. Other than this platform, we have not really had a very deep conversation outside of this show to talk about what's been going on in this trial, what's been said, and the implications of our love for this type of man, and then more importantly, our embracing of a culture that has destroyed women. And so this case is so big, and it's so important for us to have these conversations. And I truly appreciate you, Brother Roland, for constantly keeping us abreast about it, because we're not talking about it. We're talking about surviving R. Kelly, and then that conversation died down. But when you listen to the stories from the people that work with him, about the rules, to the victims themselves, nah. You want that joker under a damn jail cell. You would not want to listen to his music. You damn sure wouldn't want to fly with him, and you would not want to have anything to do with R. Kelly, Robert Sylvester Kelly. Trust and believe.
Greg, of course, it is innocent until proven guilty, but frankly, people can still weigh in on what they're hearing, and what we are hearing is shocking, devastating, sick, and demented.
It is, Ron. I mean, of course. I mean, who could say it isn't? But what we have with the R. Kelly case, and it's now 13 years since he was first brought to trial on the same allegations, similar allegations, a lot less detail, of course, than now. What we really have is a car crash at the intersection of culture and law. We, as people of African descent in the modern world system, certainly those of us in the Western Hemisphere, more specifically the United States, have unfortunately continued to fall victim to, and now just really occupy, a culture that allows for our own dehumanization. And the culture is in the language, the culture is in the music. And so, you know, and now legally, this guy should be under the jail. Of course, that's a no-brainer. However, just like somebody reached out to you and said that, the hope of his defense team is there's at least one person like that on the jury And the bigger issue, let's say he goes to jail from now on, either here or in the subsequent trials that will come up after this. Let's say that happens. That's one guy. The deeper question is, what about every hip hop artist, every R&B artist, every soul artist, every cultural artist, every movie producer, every video maker who has reinforced the culture of dehumanization, not only against black women and men, but against even the very notion of blackness, and then wraps it up into, I'm just expressing myself. See, this is the problem. And then until we address that underlying problem, then the difference for me between R. Kelly and Jay-Z is just a question of, well, who did the most egregious acts and the shock of the individual incident that can send one to jail. But when I turn on the radio, quite frankly, I can't tell the difference.
REECIE.
Well, if you were upset, then let me give you something to be mad about. If you can identify with R. Kelly personally, then you're a motherfucking degenerate. Point blank period. And maybe your ass need to be up under the jail right along with R. Kelly. Okay, so let's, instead of talking about protecting the legacy and the black man who was sitting up there allegedly until proven guilty, I guess, raping and terrorizing and kidnapping and abusing women, men, children, families. If you can justify that because he's a black man, there's something seriously wrong and demented with your mentality. There's nothing wrong with us talking about it. It's something wrong with your ass and how you think, okay? So why don't we put a little bit more emphasis on protecting victims, on protecting girls, boys, people, black people, the community, how about that, from a sexual predator? Why don't we put more emphasis on that than the fact that you like R. Kelly's Bump and Grind or 12 Play?
Come on.
Check yourself. Don't come over here with that mess. Check yourself and your fucked up mentality.
That's right.
Period.
I'm trying to say, there was at least one MF, at least 4 Fs.
Sorry, not sorry. Because we're not going to normalize that kind of comment.
Oh,
you are literally trying to check us for talking about testimony in the court of law under the threat of perjury or of criminal penalties, and you're trying to check us because we're talking about what this man, this degenerate, this pedophile, this sexual serial predator allegedly is doing? Check yourself. Don't come over here with that. Check yourself. Look in the mirror, and we need to be find out who the hell your ass is around. If you think that what he's done is something that's redeemable, that should be protected, that should be shielded, what the hell is wrong with you? There's something wrong with you, not us, and not the Roland Martin Unfiltered show.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Roland, it's okay. REECIE got to say that. In the words of Miss Lauryn Hill, I add a motherfucker so you ignorant Negroes hear me. In other words, you can't.
That's the only way we can communicate. I'm sorry.
You know,
intellectually, it didn't work. It didn't register with intellectual. So let me throw one of those up, and maybe you'll hear it, and you can hate tweet me, and you can fry me up in the YouTube comments, and you can say whatever the hell you want to say. But I said what I said. Fuck R. Kelly and you too. How about that? That's not unbiased. That's my opinion.
Gotcha. Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, Seek.com is a black-owned company founded by Mary Spiel. It's a virtual reality company where you can actually go there, look at their virtual reality content. A couple of devices they actually have for sale that you might be interested in. First off, their VR headset allows for you to slide your phone right in and experience that virtual reality content on their site or watch a 360-degree video. Also, their 360-degree headphones, tremendous bass, you can use it for gaming, Bluetooth, phone calls, you name it. Folks, you can get these two
at seek.com using this promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21. You buy one or the other, or even both, a portion of the proceeds come back to us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we want you to check out seek.com and give it a try. R. Kelly's defense turned to call witnesses to prove the singer's innocence on day 21 of the trial. Today's Kelly's accountant, John Holder, testified he never saw him torment his alleged accusers. Holder described seeing Kelly carrying around a backpack full of cash to take the women and girls on shopping sprees. On cross-examination, prosecutors tried to discredit Holder by saying as R. Kelly's accountant, he was not a significant player in Kelly's inner circle to know the intimate details of what was happening with Kelly's accusers. They will continue their defense on tomorrow.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches! Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. CARR and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?